It's now in order to consider amendment number 23, printed in Part B of House Report 118-559. For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk.
Clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 23, printed in Part B of House Report number 118-559, offered by Mr. Issa of California.
Pursuant to House Resolution 1316, the gentleman from California, Mr. Issa, and a member opposed each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California.
Thank you, Speaker. I recognize myself for such time as I may consume. Mr. Speaker, spokespeople across the United States government routinely refer to Xi Jinping as president of China. The only problem is he's not the president. He holds a number of titles in the Communist Party. They include the 3 jobs of, first, he is General Secretary of the Communist Party. Second, he is Chairman of the Central Military Commission. And third, he is State Chairman, which is a ceremonial position. I wish to insert 2 articles into the record to describe this in more detail. General leave.
The request will be covered by general leave.
Calling the state chairman a president helps the Communist Party offer a more presentable face to the world, and it hides the party's iron fist in velvet glove in ceremonial title. It sows confusion about Communist China's government, presenting it akin to democracy instead of an authoritarian police state. We should stop playing by the rules Beijing's propaganda would have us have as to Xi, and give him his actual titles, and I urge my colleagues to do so. And I might note, Mr. Speaker, that in fact many places that I don't particularly agree with, including President Bashar Assad and others, have the title. But if China doesn't give itself the title, and rather he is the head of the Communist Party, we should continue to call him that and not erroneously make him look like a Democratic leader. And with that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from California reserves. What purpose does the gentlewoman from California seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I claim time in opposition.
Gentlewoman from California is recognized for 5 minutes.
I rise in opposition to this amendment, which prohibits funding for materials that refers to the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party by the title President. The United States House of Representatives does not get to pick what other countries call their head of state. This is not a serious policy. In the United States of America, we should not resort to pettiness and should treat others with respect, even when we have vehement disagreements. This is how you solve problems. I must reflect on the fact that this is the appropriations process, a process that is derived by the United States Constitution. It's a privilege to serve in this House and on the Appropriations Committee. This amendment does not meet the stature of this process. I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlewoman from California reserves. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, the gentlelady from California, who I greatly admire, is in fact, in this case, wrong. She's making a mistake that I hope to correct in this debate. Xi Jinping is not the president. That is not the title that their government gives him. As I said in my opening remarks, and I'll clarify, President Bashar Assad of Syria is a president. That's a title his country gives him. The president of Egypt is a president. There are plenty of presidents. We would not call Bibi Netanyahu president when he's the prime minister. And of course, we would call the president of Israel president. I'm only making the clear point that Xi Jinping has 3 titles, none of which includes, in any reasonable translation, the word president. He is a head of state. He is the chairman of his party. He is the chairman of, in fact, his military. And so it is as a member of Foreign Affairs, it is an important technical correction, but it is an important one that until or unless China changes or adds an additional title, we should, in earnest, and I'm agreeing with my friend and the gentlelady from California, I'm agreeing with her that we should not arbitrarily refuse to take any title given by their country. But China could call him president if they wanted to. They do not. And my amendment only says we need to stop changing his title. So when the gentlelady says that we shouldn't arbitrarily or petty way change a title, I agree. The title should be one of those three titles, or of course, he is a head of state, and that can be used. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from California reserves. Gentlewoman from California is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, let me just say we should allow the State Department to manage protocol. We don't need a funding prohibition. I yield back the balance of my time and urge a no vote.
Gentlewoman from California yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
In closing, I completely agree that the State Department should have reasonable diplomatic ability, but it has become a problem of a misstatement. And as I said earlier, Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu should not be referred to as president, even if the State Department wants to. They have both the president and a prime minister, as does France. It is important that titles reflect what their, in fact, titles are. The head of China has three titles. If they want to give him a fourth, they may. But until they do, I believe it is completely inappropriate to call a rose by any other name than the one that, in fact, the rose possesses. And with that, I close by urging passage and yield back.